Oh my fucking god. Ha! So what happened? I've been ranting by myself, which is fine. I'm a new streamer, but I wasn't even live. I've been ranting without going live for half an hour about the game I'm creating. So now I have to make it a video or nobody will see it. Interesting. Interesting. what happened? What happened was that I went live, or I went live with waiting, um, and with the waiting will go live soon screen, and I realized the error I always make, and that's to not enter OBS um, in admin mode. Because if I don't do that, my camera will have a tear around about here, or wait, there. Okay, it goes. I hate this. It goes from here to here. The tear. It's so hard to do this. Looking at yourself in the camera, but it has a tear and it's really annoying. And all I have to do is enter OBS in admin mode. And I've tried to automate that. I've tried to make the oh my god, what's it called? The startup icon have enter in admin mode as default, but that doesn't work for some reason. So I am always having to close down when I go live. I attempt to start streaming. I always have to close OBS and enter it. And I thought I started streaming because I entered everything I usually do, but for some reason it didn't go live. It was just connecting to the stream, but it didn't go live for some reason. So here I am, half an hour late just because of that. Just because of that. Oh well, oh well. Let's see. What did I have? If I still infiltrating. I think the first thing we should do. So I've made videos on Jimmy Dore in the past. Oh wait, I need this Reddit. There is. Sorry, I just saw something. I want to see this users things. I can't. That's stupid. So, um, Hey, socialist. I am just about to start talking about Jimmy Dore, everyone's favorite person. So I've made a few videos on our good friend Jimmy Dore, everyone's favorite socialist, right? And I got into a conversation with a Twitter user or a Reddit user who was defending Jimmy Dore. Because I went to the Jimmy Dore subreddit just to see what they were saying about him. You have therapy in 2 hours and you always get anxious before going. It sounds like you really need to go. I my girlfriend has anxiety. I do not envy you at all. Fortunately, a lot of people with ADHD have anxiety. And I was watching a the Surst video with Lance, and he said he had a doctor tell him that he was fortunate that his ADHD apparently didn't give him either anxiety or depression. And I have to agree with myself. I have neither of those. Um, for some reason, I should have. I feel. I mean. I have. I'm in hedonic. I have issue feeling satisfaction, with work I do, um, which makes it hard to continue working. But I'm not depressed. I still find joy. I don't have intrusive thoughts, stuff like that. And I'm not anxious. I've been anxious at times, but it's from environmental circumstances. So I'm not. Oh, I feel for you, bro. The few times I've been anxious, the few times I've felt the pressure on my chest has been horrible, that's for sure. So we're gonna take your mind off it, for now at least. Because I went to Reddit. I went to the Jimmy Dore subreddit. And I found this guy there who I started interacting with. Um, who um, who apparently had a. He went on to the late stage capitalism subreddit, which I've been on a few times myself. It's an so-so subreddit. But anyway, he's like, oh, this is the most this subreddit can muster, and it's not a lot. I give you that. But he then gets into contact with Dave Anthony 1, this user. Hey, I have the same type of. Nor do I scream at them all the time, nor do I pay them like shit. But you do leftists the way you want to. And who is Dave Anthony, you may ask? Let's see, who's this? No, that's not. Nope. He wrote. Anyway, never mind. My stream muted for a second. That's. Ha. Ha. Yeah. Hello? Hello? It's a delay. I'm gonna restart OBS and see if that fixes it. Did it fix it? It sounds and looks like it's fixed. It's better, but it's not good. Okay, good. There we go. Okay, I need to stop that. I don't want my echo to be heard. And there we go. So I'm just gonna start over, all over again. How wonderful. Our friend of the show, close personal friend of the show, had his NDA leaked. And when I say his NDA, I mean the NDA he makes other people sign, other people that works for him. Jimmy Dore's very pro-employer work contracts. Remember, kids, it's rules for thee, not for me. In the wake of this revelation, I had a run-in with a character on Reddit who I decided, I want to see what this guy has to say to other people. And I noticed he had a run-in with Dave Anthony 1, this user, who says, hey, I have the same type of business as Jimmy, but I don't have my employers sign shitty NDAs, nor do I scream at them all the time, nor do I pay them like shit. But you do leftists the way you want to. Which is interesting. Who is this character? Who is this guy? Dave Anthony. And he's somehow a part of the dollop. What? Well, that sounds like something official, Who is this guy? If you search for Dave Anthony, that's not Jimmy's account. That's a good guess though. He does have many, but that's on Twitter, libtardo1. He does seem to have a lot of alternates. No, this is Jimmy Dore's former friend, Dave Anthony. Big thanks to Abby Martin and Dave Anthony and to the great crowd. It was an absolute blast. Dave Anthony now hates Jimmy Dore, it seems, which is interesting. He confirmed, I saw in a different post of his, everything this post said. He confirmed. So I thought it would be kind of fun to read it and see what it has to say. Because I saw a TYT video on this specific issue, because of course they're gonna make a video on it. Of course they are. Why wouldn't they? They've had a lot of beef with Jimmy, so it only makes sense. I just want to make sure of one thing. Has Jimmy responded to it or not? 16 hours ago, there were 4 videos dropped at the same hour. Spread them out, dude. Spread them out. Lula goes rogue. This is really happening. Earth core starting to spin in opposite direction. Come on. Colbert audience still forced to wear masks. New York Times vindicated. Jimmy Dore on school lockdowns. Why you should hate corporate news even more than you do. NBC hit piece on Jimmy Dore, Taibbi Greenwald is dumbest yet. Is this? This is a Substack. This is not. Oops. So this isn't it, right? Recently penned the latest in the virtual cavalcade of pieces we've seen of late from Democratic Party apologists warning that populist left figures like Glenn Green, Matt Taibbi, and Jimmy Dore have been flirting with the populist right. Flirting with the populist right is an understatement. Such a movement could funnel leftists into the arms of authoritarians, Aleem argues, as if the Democratic Party today isn't authoritarian to its core. Not as much as the Republican Party, you moron. Okay. Maybe we'll watch this later. Maybe we'll watch that later. First, we'll see this. He doesn't seem to have responded to it, does it? NDA. Nope. He doesn't seem to have responded to it. So, let's read and see what it says. An independent contractor agreement used by the YouTuber's production company reveals anti-worker provisions. Remember, this is someone who claims to be a socialist. He claims to be a socialist. Popular YouTube personality and comedian Jimmy Dore, who presents himself as a champion of labor and working class, has had contractors sign a harsh labor agreement in the summer of 2020, document obtained by the Important Context reveal. The 57-year-old Dore originally rose to national prominence within progressive circles due to his decade-long affiliation with the Young Turks YouTube channel. There, he became known as one of the loudest, most passionate proponents of Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders' 2016 presidential campaign. I remember him going to Nevada. Oh, that was actually a good video. Jimmy Dore, Nevada, TYT. No. Oh, is it this? This is actually... Oh, it's muted.
That's the chairman of the caucus right there. That's how they... He's got some stuff written down on...
As of today's caucus results, Senator Sanders has gained 7 delegates. Secretary Clinton has... Oh, I'm sorry, I have this... I'm sorry, 6 delegates. Secretary Clinton has gained 13 delegates.
Against their own interests. One, it would go to the state convention, and 2, he let people caucus who weren't registered, and they were starting to register after the caucus. Here he is freaking out when he realizes the mistakes. He's screaming, damn it, because he forgot to tell him, and it's going to be screwed up. Until after a lot of them had already left, and he saw it. This is kind of crazy. Left. And everyone's gone. And I just wanted, just a side note.
This actually, from my recollection, was what broke the story, kind of. It was at least around that time that the story about how grifting Todger. I don't know what a Todger is. Todger? Are you British? It seems a man's penis. Okay. Yeah, they had a bad falling out, and saying that anyone who works for TYT CIA is, I mean, he's self-reporting at that point, isn't he? But apparently in the TYT video, they say one of the reasons for the separation, since Anna Kasparian didn't come forward with her allegations until much later, was that he screamed at his wife that if she didn't laugh at his jokes from the other side of the camera, nobody would laugh at them. Which just makes so much sense now, considering how bad his jokes are on the show and how much people laugh at them. If you don't laugh at his jokes, nobody's gonna. They're gonna be screamed at. No, it's a joke in the H3H3 community. They read. Oh, really? He talks specifically about his todger, not his penis. I know there are some creepy passages. That's for sure. Anyway, I want to continue this passage, this article. However, his online star has risen since striking out on his own in 2019. Today, he boasts more than 1 million YouTube subscribers and over 433,000 Twitter followers. He has appeared on cable news and the podcasts of Joe Rogan and Russell Brand. Just remove this. Come on, don't be that guy. Thank you. In 2020, Jimmy Dore was reportedly able to purchase a 1.9 million, 2.8 thousand square foot compound in Los Angeles, San Fernando Valley. Much of Dore's audience growth has occurred since the latter half of 2021, according to the YouTube analytics site Social Blade. That's interesting. It's been okay, that's 2022. Okay. Can't see further back than that, can we? No? Well, that's disappointing. Coinciding with the comedian's full-bore embrace of conspiracy theories. For example, Dore has suggested that COVID-19 pandemic... Wait, the latter half of 2021... I don't remember exactly when I dropped off the Jimmy Dore bandwagon. I think it was around Forced to Vote that I'm like, this guy is a lunatic. I'm washing my hands of this. Yeah, I think it was around the Forced to Vote. Because in the beginning, Forced to Vote is not a bad idea. But the way they hounded it just made it come off as insincere and more of an attack than a tactic. For example, Dore has suggested that the COVID-19 pandemic is an excuse for economic elites to engineer greater social control, that the vaccines are a big pharma scam and actually increase susceptibility to the virus, that the attack on Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul Pelosi, was a homosexual lover's quarrel, that federal law enforcement helped facilitate the January 6th Capitol insurrection in 2021. Wait. Hold on. That's not necessarily unimaginable, considering there were federal law enforcement present during January 6th. I mean, they'd have as much to gain as anyone at Jan 6 if they had succeeded, right? They hate the Democrats just as much as anybody else, I'm sure. That the arrest of youth climate activist Greta Thunberg in Germany last month may have been staged. The core of Dore's appeal, however, stems from his reputation as a bare-knuckle populist, a pugilistic Truth-telling every man willing to hold all sides accountable on behalf of workers, especially Democrats. That's the key part. With a learn-as-you-go approach to news, the YouTuber has spent years raging against the machine, bemoaning the ills of sellout politicians, journalists, corporations, and capitalists. In a December live stream, for example, Dore huffed about how President Biden and congressional Democrats had leveraged the 1926 Railway Labor Act to prevent a rail strike before the holidays, imposing an unpopular labor agreement on the workers that lacked any paid sick days. In typical Dore fashion, he ignored the fact that Republicans co-signed the deal and had even lobbied for a worse contract just weeks earlier. That is key. So Joe Biden and the Democrats, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, the squad, he gives the squad so much power. So much power. He thinks they're up there with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. They are at the bottom. They are down in the trenches, my man. They voted to screw you. Dore told his viewers, adding that a labor strike would have set the tone for labor in the country. They voted the way they voted because the union asked them to. You can have questions about the union's allegiances, the union's wins in this, what they gain from there not being a labor strike. But they said, take the deal, vote this in, and we'll fight tomorrow. That's what they said. I don't know if it's a good idea, a good strategy. I'm not well versed on it. I know that much at least. The union asked them to. Labor is winning, he said, but documents obtained by important context, that's this Substack, reveal that labor is not necessarily winning at Dore's own show. An independent contractor agreement, which was used by Dore's production company for Dore Production in the summer of 2020, contains several harsh provisions that disadvantage workers, including forced arbitration. Former friends and colleagues of Dore's told Important Context that the agreement was not out of character for the comedian. Interesting. The savior of the workers is not very worker friendly. Who would have thought? It's almost, this is like why I don't call myself a feminist. Because I've interacted with so many feminists, male feminists. And the trope is real, guys. The trope is real. There is a tangent among male feminists who use the label feminists as a bludgeon, as a shield to themselves. Does it do open call-ins? Oh, that would be fun if he does open call-ins. But the male feminists use it as a shield to shield themselves. We had a famous head of the police whose nickname was Captain Skirt, because he was the biggest feminist in all of the police. Like, the entire police department knew him as Captain Skirt. Okay, that I'm gonna look into that myself. You know, that's gonna be interesting. But this guy, Captain Klenning, the only thing he talked about apparently was feminism. Was how do we include more women? That's his rallying cry. When he stops being police chief, he gets caught soliciting sex from a minor, from a 14-year-old. In the back of his trunk, he had tools, BDSM tools, that he was going to use on the girl. he defended himself by saying, well, I was helping her. I was paying her so much money that it was helping her. You know? These guys do exist. Do not forget that. Jimmy Dore, the way he rallies about workers' rights reminds me of that. And this is just proof of it. Now, it's hindsight proof, unfortunately. I fucking wish I made this prediction. Because it's so obvious in hindsight, the way he talks about workers' rights. The agreement from 4DP includes clauses that are very protective of the company and Dore's legal experts told important context. The document contains a thorough 9-part, 3-page long confidentiality section, effectively prohibiting contractors from discussing anything they learned about Dore, his wife, or their collaborators on the job, including details about their business, personal lives, finances, investments, and more. The agreement is a stark departure from Dore's public commentary. In the past, Dore criticized former President Trump's use of confidentiality agreements with volunteers, calling them very right-wingy. Well, the roosters have come home to... What's the saying? The roosters have come home to roost? Really? That's the roosters have come to roost? Okay. Whatever. Kind of stupid. If those people want to do that, you are a volunteer and you want to do that, again, you're just a moron, Dore cracked. If you want to play in traffic, I guess, I can't stop you either. Like, go ahead. Is he self-reporting? Like, while he's saying this, does he not realize? Or does he not care? Or is it like he gets off on it? Like, is he sitting there saying, if these people want to do that, and he looks straight at the camera, or he looks straight at the monitor with his contractors. If those people want to do that, you are a volunteer, and you do what you want. Again, you're a moron. If you want to play in traffic, I guess, I can't stop you either. Like, go ahead. Like, is he gleeful? Is he secretly like jerking himself off in the bathroom afterwards? Like, oh yeah, I got them. Oh, like that's what I'm picturing right now. Or maybe he has his wife jerk him off, you know? The consequences for workers who breach Dore's confidentiality section or another extensive section requiring contractors to sign away rights to their work production can be severe under the agreement. Breaches and even threatened breaches constitute immediate and irreparable harm, entitling Dore's company to equitable, non-monetary relief, meaning contractors could be ordered to refrain from the activity. The agreement further stipulates that breaches entitle Dore's company to liquidated damages, which are agreed upon damages for failing to meet a specific contractual obligation in the amount of $10,000 per breach. Who has that kind of money, Dore? God damn. These provisions are the hallmark of a very pro-employer employment contract. Alan Hyde, a distinguished professor and Sidney Reitman scholar at Rutgers Law School, told important context. Hyde noted that the provisions were of dubious enforceability. God, that's a hard... Enforceability? particularly the liquidated damages clause due to its high dollar figure. Okay, that's interesting. Like I'm guessing a judge would look at it and say, "Are you fucking insane? 10,000 for this?" They have to be reasonable forecasts at the time of contracting of the harm, which this one isn't because it's 10,000 irrespective of what the harm is. That's interesting. Okay, so it's just a scare tactic then. Philip Harvey, a law and economics professor also at Rutgers Law School, agreed that Door's contract was heavily tilted in favor of himself, calling it very employer-friendly. Harvard told Important Context. Door's attorney had been clever, drafting a contract with a financial amount that was high enough to disincentivize minor breaches of confidentiality, like being loose-lipped at the bar, but low enough for courts to allow it in the event of major breaches, like writing a best-selling book containing personal details about Door. That's interesting. That's very interesting and very clever. Like you'd be, because if you are loose-lipped at the bar, odds are you're not going to get in trouble. You might even know the odds are you're not going to get in trouble. But the person you're telling can go write whatever the fuck they want. And if it turns up, there's proof that you were the one that told them, that could be issue for you. And you might have to pay the 10,000. On the other hand, wouldn't it be worth it for someone to say, you know what, I'm going to pay your legal fees? Is that not illegal? Is that illegal to say I'm going to cover your legal fees if you speak? I don't know. But if it's just 10,000, there are people that can swing that. Hassan could swing that. Vosh could swing that for sure. Just do like a one TTS stream and he's got 10K in his pocket. The 4DP contractor agreement includes forced arbitration for disputes except in certain circumstances, like union busting. In arbitration, parties submit disputes and claims to a chosen arbiter. In this case, one affiliated with the American Arbitration Association, rather than going through the courts. The 4DP contractor agreement includes forced arbitration. Okay. What is forced arbitration exactly? Wait, does he tell us? Although common in many work contracts, sometimes preferred in union workplaces, and often faster than litigation, arbitration can present obstacles to relief for workers. For example, it deprives workers of their ability to be heard by a jury. The 4DP contract spells this out explicitly, stating the parties understand that by signing this agreement, they give up their right to a civil trial in a court of law and waive their right to a trial by jury. Juries have jobs and they know that bosses overreach, Hyde told Important Context. Arbitration is much more favorable for employers. They can keep it secret. They don't have to have publicity. They don't have to face a jury. Once a decision has been rendered by an arbitrator, workers have little recourse. As the National Association of Consumer Advocates warns, arbitrators aren't required to take the law and legal precedent into account in making their decisions. There is no appeal or public review of decisions to ensure the arbitrator got it right. A company requires a consumer or employee to submit any dispute that may arise to binding arbitration as a condition of employment or buying a product or service. Okay. Arbitrations are notoriously pro-employer. A 2021 study by the National Employer Law Project revealed that in 2019, forced arbitration in the US allowed private sector employers to keep more than 27 billion in wages owed to non-union workers making less than $13 an hour. A study from 2015 from the Economic Policy Institute, meanwhile, found that workers were roughly half as likely to prevail against their employer in arbitration as they were in litigation, and even then, the awards were only about 1/5 as high. Arbitration can also be expensive. Harvey called the arbitration clause the provision that is most unfavorable to the subcontractor, noticing that under the terms of the agreement, the costs of arbitration are shared between the parties, and the prevailing party is entitled to attorney's fees. First, the fee for an American Arbitration Association arbitration is not peanuts. I don't know what it is lately, I haven't looked, but divided by two parties, it's probably going to be a couple of $1,000s. Jesus. That's just the start, he added. Then the arbitrator has to be compensated on the basis usually of a daily charge, and the daily charge may be 800, 1,000 a day divided by 2. Now add your lawyer's fees to that. A day in the life of working with Jimmy Dore. Former friends and colleagues of Dore told Important Context that they were not surprised by the mismatch between the comedian's rhetoric and the employer-friendly provisions in 4DP agreement. I don't think he's grounded in ideology, so I don't think he views treating all workers the same way I would, said fellow comedian Dave Anthony, a former longtime friend of Dore's. We've seen him. That's the guy from Reddit. Dan Evans, a former TYT associate producer who worked on Dore's show, Aggressive Progressive. Was it Aggressive Progressives? Offered up a similar diagnosis, explaining he is not really that ideological, but knows a couple of his buzzwords and knows how to do his canned rants that he's been doing for almost a decade at this point. I mean, that sort of contract lines up with the kind of person who may have had issues with workers in the past and wants to protect themselves, Evans said. But in broader context, this is a person who causes issues with people he works with. Evans told Important Context that he had a number of run-ins with the comedian at TYT and described him as a wild card who was prone to temper issues and flying off the handles. Evans said Dore would kind of expect producers to be on his beck and call in a certain way. I don't like this kind of writing. You can't write as people talk. You need to clean it up. I'm sorry. Kind of expect producers to be like beck and call on his beck and call, not on his beck and call. Just remove the like. Anyway. He would yell at folks, Evans explained. He described one incident in which the comedian got into an air shouting match with another host over TYT's removal of Alex Jones. Dore disapproved of the removal. With another host over YouTube's removal of Alex Jones. Dore disapproved of the removal. According to Evans, Dore was popping in the veins, yelling at the top of his voice, and refused to cut to break. I literally just walked into the studio and shouted over him that we're going to break, and then we cut the cameras, he said. That's a day in the life of working with Jimmy Dore. I remember, because I used to watch TYT a lot. Jimmy Dore, Steve O. This has to be... That's interesting. That's not what I'm... See what yells and gets in Dore's face. Yeah, this is it.
Hi, everybody. Welcome.
I mean, look, censored.
Transparent.
That is not what's happening.
I agree with you on all of that part, okay? I mean,
so yes, you can take someone down. You have to have a adversarial judicial process.
I don't know what that means.
So,
like a courtroom?
Yes, but you're advocating for billionaire guys in Silicon Valley to decide this all on their own, and you run a fucking media company.
Yeah. Wait. This was more interesting than I expected, actually, and it is aggressive progressives apparently.
Show. Let me go to you, Steve. Do we have anything to say?
Well, I mean, look, I don't know why we have to keep going back to Alex Jones as a reason why he should not be censored. And
this is actually this interaction we're watching. Interesting.
And,
but there has to be a process in place that is transparent. That is not what's happening. Right now it's happening in secret with warmongering motherfuckers like Henry Kissinger telling...
I agree with you on all of that part, okay? I mean...
So yes, you can take someone down. You have to have a adversarial judicial process.
I don't know what that means. Like a courtroom?
Yes, but you're advocating for billionaire guys in Silicon Valley to decide this all on their own, and you run a fucking media company?
Yes, I am.
And that's what you're advocating for?
Yes, I am.
Really?
Yes, I'm advocating that platforms can take down certain creators.
I can't wait till DYT is taken down for being against a war. You're saying that you want Mark Zuckerberg, or whatever the fuck Zuckerberg's
why don't you
name
let me
is.
finish then?
Okay, I'll let you.
Okay? Instead of keep constantly interrupting, why don't you let me finish for a
Okay, I'll
second,
let you.
Right? My point is, if you are taking anyone down for their political speech, that is totally wrong. And I'm against all of that. What I'm saying is that there are people who violate terms of service and do other things that's not protected speech, and they can be taken down. And here's what I mean by that. For example, if you start showing porn, that's not allowed. You can be taken down for that. If you're harassing individuals and making their lives miserable, they can take you down for that.
Who's they? Can I interrupt?
That guy, Steve-O, he is a founding member, at least, of TYT. I believe he might no longer be He might no longer be a on-camera personality, but he's a founding member. He used to be on camera a lot more back in the day. I believe he's like a producer by now only.
You?
Yes.
Who's they?
YouTube or Facebook or
some
Spotify
nameless, unaccountable person.
Yes, they can.
Okay, that is
it's their site. Of course, they can take you down for terms of service violations. Of course. What, are you gonna have groomers in here and you have to take them to a lengthy court process just to get them down? Is that what he proposes? Oh yeah. The guy absolutely grooms people. Kids. He diddles kids on camera even. But he is located in rural areas of Malaysia, so police can't do anything. But we have to take him to court in order to get him out. Oh, the courts are clogged up with 1,000 other similar requests because we also have 100 ISIS channels with beheadings, which we can't just take down because apparently we need a lengthy and adversarial court process to do that. Okay, sure.
Intellectually lazy position.
No, it's
that
not.
I've debunked a million times here already.
So a platform cannot take down anyone for any reason without a hearing in a court of law?
You can throw someone in jail without a hearing. You mean you have
it's
to have
not
a hearing
jail.
Every time you throw someone in jail? Every time you take someone's freedom of speech?
I never said jail. Did I say jail? I say jail?
Okay, so
that's the false equivalency. Okay, that's total fucking bullshit, and you know it. Okay,
so you're saying free speech.
I'm talking.
Steve-O is mad. He's been fed up.
I'm talking about free speech. I'm talking about the right to be on a platform. That is not free speech.
So you don't think that?
So that is not. So
you disagree with the idea?
I have sympathy for Door's position. I believe it should be harder to be taken down than it is. I believe there should be some kind of appeals process, because the issue becomes, or it becomes an issue when your livelihood is hinged on streaming, for example, or hinged on YouTube in general, or Twitch, or whatever. It becomes an issue, and I don't have an easy answer for it. But I'm sympathetic to the plight, let's call it.
No, no, I'm not. See, that's a straw man bullshit argument. That's a bullshit argument.
Let's talk
so
about it.
Why don't you let me finish then?
Okay, I'll let you finish.
You keep interrupting me without letting me finish. So you are saying that YouTube can have, you can create a channel.
This guy, I don't remember his name. He's also a founding member of TOIT, I believe, and more of a producer now. This is his wife, Door's wife. I didn't remember her being on camera, but apparently she was. She likes when Door gets into these kinds of fights. That's very telling. That's very telling.
On YouTube, under the guise of free speech, and say whatever you want, as long as you're not taken to court, and the YouTube can't do anything about that?
Yes.
No, that is not the
yes.
case. Live in the real world, Jimmy. Can I go outside and hang a naked poster on a city streets? No, I cannot. You know what that is? Censorship. There are laws, time, place, or manner restrictions on every form of speech there's ever been. So you're claiming that on any social media platform, that any creator can put anything up there at any time for any reason, and no one can do anything about it without a court hearing? That is a ridiculous position.
So you're cool with them taking Telesur down?
No, I'm not. I am not. That's not the same thing.
But
that's not the same thing. That's not the same thing. You keep complaining. Look, Jimmy. Your job as a journalist is to parse out what's right and what's wrong, not throw a giant blanket over everything and create a false equivalency. Telesur being taken down is totally different than Alex Jones being taken down, because he is harassing victims of Newtown and directing people to stop them.
Steve-O
that's a totally different thing.
You're advocating for a dark system with no accountability.
No, I am not.
So you're saying that an adversarial judicial process with an impartial judge, which follows the law and the Constitution, is not any better than Mark Zuckerberg and
that is
Henry Kissinger
separate.
In secret deciding this shit?
Totally separate.
That's what you're saying?
It's totally separate.
And you're a lawyer. And you're a fucking lawyer.
I'm a
and
lawyer.
you're the head of a media company
on
the internet.
I'm a lawyer.
And so you disagree with Matt Taibbi?
No, I don't.
You are disagreeing with him.
No, I don't.
You are, and you're disagreeing with Chomsky.
I'm not.
And you're disagreeing with me.
Why did he yell like that?
Jimmy, you throw a giant blanket.
Dude,
I disagree with
I'm fucking telling you exactly what you're telling.
I disagree with.
There's no defending what you're defending. You're defending a opaque,
No, I'm not. You're putting words in my mouth, and you're doing.
You're not defending that.
I'm not. No, I'm not.
So you.
We're done. Go to break or whatever. This is ridiculous. With you on all of that.
Oh, so okay, yeah. So let's just give it a bit of context. What Steve-O was suggesting was my position. We need a better system. However, taking down Alex Jones is still the correct position to have, because he was harassing people. It's as simple as that. It was still the correct position to take. No matter your ideals or your ideal system, taking down Alex Jones was the correct choice to do. That is Steve-O's position. It's not jail to be taken down from the internet or from a website. They have every right to do that. It's a private fucking company, and they should have every right to do that. I think he just knew he always wanted to grift. Maybe. I don't think it's that easy. I think he he stumbled into the grift. I think he really just wants to be a comedian. That's like that's where he wants to be. He wants to be George Carlin. That's his ideal. That's who he thinks he's working towards in a new landscape. That's my idea, or my view of it. And the issue he walks into all the time is that he doesn't have any morals. He doesn't have any ideological ground to stand on. I almost fell into the alt-right pipeline. I was like circling the drain until someone threw a rope down to me that I could hold on to and climb up on. You know, I was circling that drain for a long time though, and the reason I did it was because I hadn't grounded my own morals, really. I hadn't found my footing as someone on the left, because I've always been on the left. I used to be more of a social democrat, but now I'm more of a democratic socialist. But yeah, that's when I found because as a social democrat, you're still a capitalist, you know? It's still capitalism, rah-rah, in the end. And I think that's where Jimmy Dore probably thinks not thinks he is, but probably is unknowingly. But he has fallen down the drain. He has taken the path of least resistance. Because obviously, working with the left gives you pushback, gives you friction. And this dude doesn't work with friction. He just wants the praise. That's all he wants. Anyway, let's continue. So we just watched it. Popping in the veins. We can even see that.
Chomsky.
You can see the vein popping. You're right there. Oof. I literally just walked into the studio and shouted over him. Did we hear that? I think we did.
Not. No, I'm not.
So you
We're
Yeah.
done. We're done.
We just heard it.
And you're
not defending that?
I'm not. No, I'm not.
Cut. Last April, Dore recalled the events as an example of his former TYT colleagues not listening to him. I warned about this very thing when I was still on TYT. Of course they didn't listen, as they were solidly pro-censorship and still are. Like most of the foul? Is that how you pronounce it? Foul left? Fake left, I know, but foul. How do you pronounce this?
Faux.
Faux. Okay. Like most of the faux left on YouTube. I remember when Alex Jones was removed, most mainstream media critics said not to worry. Censorship would only ever apply to extreme raging assholes like Jones. Now almost every day independent media figures face suspensions or deletion even if their content is accurate. He's talking about the vaccines. And it's not accurate. Not even close. Evans also told important context that Dore had made his colleagues, particularly his women colleagues, not female colleagues, anyway. I know what they're doing. They're going for the gendered rather than the sexed word, but it just comes off clunky in the mouth, I believe. And it's a virtue signal. Come on, just say female. It's fine. Uncomfortable with his temper and sexually weird remarks, noting that sometimes it felt like he was doing crowd work in a comedy club. He was like riffing off people's appearances to entertain an audience, Evans said. One target of Door's was TYT host and journalism professor Anna Kasparian, who told Important Context that Door is very insecure and cannot stand women who have strong opinions or a strong voice. She called Door a massive fraud and said he treated her and TYT producers poorly. Door has publicly boasted about humiliating Kasparian with a comment about her inappropriate clothing. In retelling his story, Door proudly proclaimed that he does not have a human resource department. Kasparian has a different recollection of Door's remark. Telling Important Context, he'd actually comment on her sexy legs on the day she brought her student in to tour the studio. I'm pretty young at the time, and it was really, really important for me to be taken seriously by the students, especially because it was the first time I was teaching at the university level, Kasparian told Important Context. And I think the reason why he made a comment about my sexy legs in front of the students was because he wanted to undo any respect that I earned with them. Cenk Uygur, TYT's founder and CEO, confirmed for Important Context that Door's conflict with his colleagues and producers were a factory in the split that occurred between the company and the YouTuber in 2019. Anthony told Important Context that Jimmy was always fairly nice to everyone when we were friends, and in his experience, the YouTuber had not displayed a temper. However, he acknowledged that Door had changed over the years. Door did not respond to repeated requests for comments. One comment here. Having seen his unhinged rants live, I worry for his mental health and the health of his friends. Now that was fun. That was fun. Yeah, the dude is a creeper. I mean, do you really need proof that he's a creeper? He's a creeper. That's all it is to him. And on that note, why don't we treat ourselves to a little Jimmy Dore video? NBC's hit piece on Jimmy Dore, Taibbi Greenwald, is dumbest yet. And if you didn't know it, there is a new Rumble show with Glenn Greenwald. And it's an exclusive Rumble show, I believe. Now, I wonder, Rumble, About Us. Chris Pavlovsky, yeah. Who is Chris Pavlovsky? Is there no wiki on him? There's no wiki on him. Get fucked. As an alternative to YouTube for independent content creators, I just need... Rumble's video platform is popular among American right and far-right users and has been described as part of alt-tech by various observers. Using data from February 2021, researchers noted that several content creators have gained a receptive audience on Rumble after their productions have been pulled from YouTube or Facebook. It's an alt-right pipeline. That's all it is at the moment. I'm guessing it could be different in the future, but it's all just an alt-right pipeline. Wait, the enduring media lies surrounding Jan 6? I want to watch some of his things. I really do. But I'm afraid of Rumble's, since it's an exclusive Rumble, I believe. Let's see here, Twitter files. System update. That's the name of it. Let's listen. Only on Rumble, yeah. So I'm afraid maybe it's content ID'd. Maybe. But we'll try someday. Someday we're gonna venture on to Rumble and see what they say. But it's a bitch move to content ID stuff. It's just bad form, you know? Anyway, let's treat ourselves to some Jimmy Dore.
Now, when they do hit pieces on me, I don't mind as long as they get, it's a nice picture.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
Look at that.
I'll take it. The dirtbag left stars are flirting. I'm flirting with the far right.
Look at that flirty look you got. Hey.
Oh, no. They are underselling it. You are throat deep in the far right dickening, okay? That's where you are.
Hey, look at you looking across at the far right.
That's what I'm
over
doing.
there, the right. What are you guys doing?
So if you are anti-war, pro-Medicare for all,
You're not pro-Medicare for all. You proclaim to be pro-Medicare for all. You might be anti-war. A lot of right-wingers are anti-war also. That's not a left or right necessarily. There are more pro-war right-wingers, sure, but it's not necessarily a right or left-wing issue. The M4A, go fuck yourself. You endorsed Tulsi Gabbard after she denounced M4A. Like, that's your whole thing. You go after people who do not support M4A. That's your whole issue, pretty much. And yet you still supported Tulsi Gabbard after she denounced M4A. So fuck yourself.
pro-worker, and and anti. You're somehow a right winger now. If you're for free speech, because that's what all those things I'm for. They make you out. So the Democratic Party. These are Democratic rags, right? So I think Chelsea Clinton is on the board of the Daily Beast, right?
Do people
look
I
how
know-
this gets
yeah.
cut off.
What? People I know who are not into politics, but they go whatever left is whatever
The Democrats say,
it's
or
like
the corporate
about,
media says.
well, the guy's right. Like I heard my friend just said this about another friend of mine who's like really some lefty, and he's like, yeah, he's like a right wing guy now, and it was something over. He didn't get a booster. I swear to God.
That's people can't help it. And here's another one, right? So this is New York Mag. The intelligence, the left's most naive cynics have turned on us. AOC.
Naive cynics.
So I was called a naive cynic. That's aimed at me. This
What
whole
is that?
article is
Now,
about
how-
me.
Wait. How does that work? You're both naive.
And a cynic. I know. Well, no.
What do you mean how what? The naivete comes in because you rag on AOC nonstop. That's like your main target, Jimmy. You go after AOC nonstop. There is no gradient to your attacks on her, pretty much. She is the villain of your dreams. But she's also the most left wing you have in Congress. Instead of going after her, if you want to call the Republican Party lost, sure, go ahead. Don't care about the Republicans. Just focus on Democrats. Is AOC really going to be the big bad guy? Or maybe Chuck Schumer? Nancy Pelosi? Kamala Harris? AOC. Really? That's why you're naive. Because you are a tool for fascists, Jimmy. You're a tool for fascists.
None of this stuff makes sense. In fact, they start off with a lie, right? So it says in 2016, Dore informed his audience that it should not freak out about a Donald Trump presidency. No, that whole don't freak out was in the primary with Bernie Sanders when he was losing some primaries. And I would tell people, don't freak out. That's what it was about. And they just make it fit their narrative. So their narrative is...
That's interesting. It probably had a different name at some point. Oh, this was 2022. Okay, it's just there. Okay. I want to see this.
I've said this before. I've said it on the
6 years ago. I want to get a date. April 29, 2016.
Young Turks. I think I might have said it on this show, but here we go again because I have my friend Robert Yasamura, hilarious comedian, writer, and commercial actor, is with us here to debate this point with me.
Let's go to transcripts. Don't freak out about Donald Trump. Let's go back.
So I don't understand. What is the bad thing that Donald Trump is going
Wait. Oh, Jimmy, what do we have here?
more Hispanics since all the presidents combined since the 1890s. That's what Fusion's in the midterms. It's just which way you want it to flip. So it actually helps the progressive agenda. And let me tell you, what is Donald Trump going to do that isn't already happening? This is my last point, and then we'll go. What is Donald Trump going to do that isn't already happening? Right now, if you believe Fusion already says that Barack Obama is doing on a deportation level with Hispanics what Donald Trump is only promising to do. We already did a video about that. We already talked about that on the show. That Fusion is out. They said that Barack Obama has deported more people, more Hispanics, since all the presidents combined since the 1890s. That's what Fusion said. If you believe what Fusion says, all right. So that's already happening under Barack Obama. We're already getting right-leaning justices being nominated to the Supreme Court. He's already pushing TPP. What worse can Donald Trump do? He might not even do TPP. He says he wouldn't. He said he's against these trade deals. So what? I don't understand. What is the bad thing that Donald Trump is going to do that isn't already happening? And by the way, what is Hillary Clinton going to do that's better than what he's going to do?
Let me tell you.
All the bad policies that the Republicans like. She's for TPP. Now she's against it. Believe me, she's going to flip on that.
Oh.
She's to the right.
Oh, she's going to flip on it. Trump, what he's saying, that's just, he's not lying. But she's lying. He's not lying. She's lying.
Of Donald Trump on Israel. I mean, so that's my case. So don't freak out about a Donald Trump presidency. I think, in fact, my theory is that it's even better for progressives in the short term, meaning in the 2-year term, and in 4 years for sure. But if we go the other way, we will have a Republican majority for 8 years, and it'll be a nightmare. And they will be so radical. That's what we have to fear, is the House and Senate flipping in 2 years, and then in 4 years, a Republican president, and then it's solid, and then we're screwed. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, in 2016, Dorn informed his audience that it should not freak out about a Donald Trump presidency, as the Republicans' election would be even better for progressives in the short term, meaning a 2-year term and in 4 years for sure, than Hillary Clinton's election would be. He literally said that. Bernie Sanders drop out 2016. Ended. Okay. It ended a few months later. I remember him dropping off earlier, but he took it to the convention, didn't he? But yeah, that seems very accurate. What did you say just now, Jimmy Dore?
Primary with Bernie Sanders when he was losing some primaries, and I would tell people, don't freak out. That's what it was about. And they just make it fit their narrative. So their narrative is Jimmy Dore's a right-winger Trumper. And so we have...
Yeah, you explicitly endorsed... Oh my God. You explicitly endorsed Trump over Hillary in that segment. Explicitly.
Anything he said, we're going to make it into that.
Oh, also, by the way, maybe don't freak out about it. Maybe next time, don't screw the whole thing up. Be productive.
So
his brain is far from Dave Rubin's high-level ideas and Tim Pool's Trumo 50 state landslide. Yeah. Trump will have a state landslide. Sure. I remember those. I think so. Tim Pool is the most successful of all those three. I think Dave Rubin has more money than Jimmy Dore. But I think Jimmy Dore is going to become more successful in the long run than Dave Rubin. Because Dave Rubin, he sold out early. Like he left the left like a year or two in. Dore is milking it for all he have. Dore is his leaving the left is gonna be massive, I think. Not for people in the know. For people who see him for what he is, it's quite obvious. But for people who still believes his left wing, he is just roping more and more people into the right. And then, like we saw with Steven Crowder, the $50 million for his company's production for, 4 years? There's no way Jimmy Dore doesn't have that kind of contract, There's no way.
So here, that means so there's been a lot of them. These are just some of my favorites.
Or if he doesn't have that kind of contract, he is gonna get it at some point.
That have been written about me. And Jimmy Dore is undeniably good at swearing. That's their
that
first.
That is true. I did have to sign a contract not to say the C word one time after a show that you were there a week before years ago.
Oh, really?
Don't you remember in Livonia, Michigan? Livonia, remember?
Oh, yeah, because of me, you couldn't say
that was when I first heard, like, I had you mixed up with another Dore.
Oh, John Dore.
Yeah.
Fox would love
that was...
there was a show on Fox where they had, like, one sweaty, fat Democrat, a corporate Democrat, who was the left representation on the show. I just remember that that is such a controlled opposition. And yeah, Jimmy Dore is going to be that controlled opposition. He's going to agree with everything they say, and he's going to be used, just like Tucker Carlson uses him, to attack the Democrats. I don't think it was... No, it wasn't a Tucker Carlson show. It was a panel show with one of the more duller Fox hosts. It's not important. Yeah. When Jon Stewart was still relevant and good.
It was me.
Yeah, and I thought it was like, I'm like, boy, he must have got really mad, John Dore. They made me sign a contract. I wouldn't say it. Okay.
Well, here's the latest. So I even missed this one. So I don't even bother with them. They make so many
lines.
They make videos now, about me. I always go, I wonder how they're going to clip it. I wonder how they're going to pretend I'm saying the opposite, and they always do. Always do. So now I just even, like, there was that one video that got like 700,000 views. It was all Jimmy Dore sells T-shirts. It was all that kind of shit, trying to and guilt by association and just garb. Like,
I'm sure Jimmy Dore is just lying through his teeth right now, because I've already disproven his first claim.
Trying to make me out to be a grifter, right? Jimmy was for the vaccine.
So wait,
then something changed and he was against it.
So,
and it's all that stuff.
Hold on, this whole thing is for the T-shirts. I didn't know.
And so here it is. So here's and I didn't even bother with this, but then how's the populist left has become vulnerable to the populist right?
Yeah.
Wow. Vulnerable to what exactly? Finding a common enemy in corporate douchebag complex?
So I had this conversation last night with on Reddit. Communist Party collaboration with Nazis. There is a here. No, this is it. This is probably also it, but we're gonna do this. The third period and social fascism. You should try this for your live streams. It can change your voice and add funny sound drops. I found it on YouTuber. I've been never mind. I've been thinking about using something like this for something. I don't know. Maybe I'll look into it. The third period and social fascism, aligning with the Comintern's ultra-left third period. Under the slogan Class Against Class, the KDP, the Communist Party of Deutschland, abruptly turned to viewing the Social Democratic Party of Germany, SDP, as its main adversary. In this period, the KDP referred to the SDP as social fascists. The term social fascists was introduced to the German Communist Party shortly after the Hamburg uprising of 1923 and gradually became ever more influential in the party. By 1929, it was being propagated as a theory. The KPD, regarded itself as the only anti-fascist party in Germany and held that all other parties in the Weimar Republic were fascists. In other words, everyone is against us, we are the only good one, isolationists. That's how you build a movement, isolationism. Are you fucking morons? Yes, it's in the 1920s, so there are morons. But still, are you fucking morons? After the Nazi electoral breakthrough in the 1930 Reichstag election, the SPD proposed a renewed unity. Remember, SDP, Social Democrats, they come on, communists, come on. These guys are worse. These guys are horrible, right? Let's unite. A renewed united front with the KPD against fascism, but this was rejected. Fucking morons. In the early 1930s, the KPD cooperated with the Nazis. Remember, they rejected cooperating with the Social Democrats, instead opting to cooperate with the Nazis. In attacking the Social Democrats, and both sought to destroy the liberal democracy of the Weimar Republic. Oh, the Social Democrats wants to uphold it? Oh, we can't have that. Oh, wait, the Nazis want to destroy it? Let's cooperate with the Nazis. Yay. The left never gets along. No, that's true. They also followed an increasingly nationalist course, trying to appeal to nationalist-leaning workers. Mistake. The KPD learned leadership initially first criticized, but then supported the 1931 Prussian Landtag referendum, an unsuccessful attempt launched by the far-right Stahlhelm to bring down the Social Democrat state government of Prussia by means of plebiscite. The KPD referred to the Stahlhelm, as working people's comrades during this campaign. The KPD maintained a solid electoral performance, blah, blah, blah. Here we go. In this period, while also opposing the Nazis, the KPD regarded the Nazi party as a less sophisticated and thus less dangerous fascist party than the SPD. Remember, Dorr said, Hillary Clinton is going to be worse than Trump. I thought that myself. I was a fucking moron back then because I thought the exact same thing as Dor because I listened to Dor back then. This history doesn't repeat itself, but it fucking rhymes. You can call yourself a socialist all day long, but if you try to collaborate with fucking fascists, like we know Jimmy Dore does with the Boogaloo Boys, like we know Jimmy Dore has praised fascists, like Italy's new leader, you are a collaborator, and collaborators gets the wall too. In Minecraft, of course. Of course. Like I'll delete your server. I'll burn down your house in Minecraft. Less dangerous fascist party than the SPD, and KPD leader Ernst Thälmann declared that some Nazi trees must not be allowed to overshadow a forest of social democrats. Hagak, yeah. Some Nazi trees must not be allowed to overshadow a forest of social democrats. Listen to those words. In February 1932, Thälmann argued that Hitler must come to power first, then the requirements for a revolutionary crisis will arrive more quickly. Let's see here. What did you mean? Wait.
I've said this before. I've said it up.
The parallels are uncanny. I think we were here.
If he nominates a maniac. And so what we'll probably end up with is the same kind of Supreme Court justice.
Let's just read this quote again. Oh, wait, I want to.
No matter if Hillary Rodham Clinton is president or Donald Trump. The only difference is the House.
Yeah. We're at where we want to be. Hitler must come to power first. Then the requirements for a revolutionary crisis will arrive more quickly.
Nominates a maniac. And so what we'll probably end up with is the same kind of Supreme Court justice, no matter if Hillary Rodham Clinton is president or Donald Trump. The only difference is the House and Senate are going to flip in the midterms. It's just which way you want it to flip. So it actually helps the progressive agenda. And let me tell you, what is Donald Trump going to do that isn't already happening? This is my last point, and then we'll go. What is Donald Trump going to do that isn't already happening? Right now, if you believe Fusion already says that Barack Obama is doing on a deportation level with Hispanics, that Fusion is us. Since all the presidents
better.
That's my case. So don't freak out about a Donald Trump presidency. I think, in fact, my theory is that it's even better for progressives in the short term, meaning in the 2-year term, and in 4 years for sure. But if we go the other way, we will have a Republican majority for 8 years.
It's better. So don't freak out about a Donald Trump presidency. I think, in fact, my theory is that it's even better for progressives in the short term, meaning in the 2-year term and in 4 years for sure. Hitler must come to power first. Then the requirements for a revolutionary crisis will arrive more quickly. It's better for socialists that Hitler comes to power first. Jimmy Dore is as idiotic as socialists were or communists were in the Weimar Republic. He doesn't fall under the white moderates because he's not a moderate. He's a fucking fascist collaborator. He is worse. MLK would, I hope MLK would rather have moderate white people than Jimmy Dore on his team. I hope so, at least. I think I've proven my point well enough with this section of the article, at least. Let's continue.
That's what we're vulnerable to?
Yeah.
It's more flirting, probably.
So this is, but I'm in this one, right? So they didn't put my face on the thing, which it hurt my feelings a little. This was written by, well, I'll show you who it was written by. So Matt Taibbi wrote the response on MSNBC and authoritarianism. He says, MSNBC opinion columnist Zisham Alim just penned the latest in what's become a parade of hit pieces from mainstream outlets directed at me and other independent journalists. Even by the low standards of the genre, how the populist left have become vulnerable to the populist right is a humorous standout. It argues that after Matt Taibbi spent a month detailing how the FBI, the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Defense, the CIA, and other agencies built a system for mass delivery of censorship requests to firms like Twitter and Facebook, I helped fuel a subculture that could funnel people from leftism to authoritarianism.
Oh my God. So I've learned so much from this one sentence. So the two wings available.
But yeah. Here's the pipeline broadly. I have my issues with government agencies having a direct line of communications with social media and censoring people. Absolutely, for sure. Because it can be used by right-wingers in government to crack down on left-wingers. I absolutely have an issue with that. However, the people they mostly target, or the people that Matt Taibbi and Jimmy Dore are looking to protect, the people they rage over being censored, are right-wingers. I don't remember them ever calling out Facebook censoring police, or not police, Facebook censoring anti-police groups. Facebook police censorship. It was before Biden. I think it was under Trump, actually. Okay, he did talk about it, at least. Of course, it was a live show. But of course, let's see here.
Organizations that denied it. So it actually, let's not forget, it was Facebook Live that showed, and I forget the guy's name, who bled out because of a cop shot.
He's been vindicated by the very organizations that denied it. So it actually,
so that the internet's the last spot.
and here,
Holy shit, it's another coordinated shutdown like they did to Alex Jones, but this time with much smaller alternative media outlets. Anti-media now gone from both Facebook and Twitter. Same thing just happened with PNB.
you know what's ironic is that Alex Jones.
But he always seems to fit Alex Jones into everything somehow. Somehow he manages to fit Alex Jones into that. Everyone wishes Joe was more progressive. Oh, you mean Joe Rogan? I thought you meant Joe Biden. Yeah, Joe Rogan is a mixed bag. He is more progressive than most of his guests, I think. But the only good comedian from that era seems to be what's his name? The ginger Bill Burr. He seems to be the only good comedian from that era.
Are left and authoritarian.
That's it. That's it.
And you're funneling people.
And I'm funneling.
You a subculture funnel.
So what Matt Taibbi just did was expose authoritarianism coming from the Democratic Party, and so they call him a right winger.
You know, thanks to MSNBC and every one of them, a lot of these people who you should stop flirting with, I guess, literally think those are the same thing: leftism and authoritarianism.
Yes,
like deeply believe that's the exact same thing.
Well, here's all the people that mainstream news, MSNBC and NBC News have. These are all spooks. These are all authoritarian.
I was trying to look him up because I was thinking that he had to be connected to some kind of,
You mean the writer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's from DC.
So here's all the people
I'm bored.
that
This isn't a refutation of the hit piece. What Jimmy Dore is doing here is, and apparently Matt Taibbi as well, is a logical fallacy. It's an ad hominem logical fallacy. And I hate people. 90% of people who use ad hominem as a defense or as a critique always uses it wrong. Always. They always use it to mean insults. Calling Jimmy Dore a fucking retard is not an ad hominem. It's a declarative statement. It is it's an insult. That's what it is. An ad hominem is saying these guys are wrong because they are spooks. They work for the government. They work for the army. They work for the CIA. They work for the FBI. Therefore, they are wrong on attacking me for helping fascists. No, Jimmy. No, Jimmy. No. And I send this message out to all Dore fans, all you stans out there. Please come at me. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me this isn't a logical fallacy. The most perfect logical fallacy you could ever find. This is a perfect example of an ad hominem.
That have that are on this list. These are.
And I don't care. I don't care.
Now
It's not an argument. It's not an argument. I don't care. It's not an argument, Jimmy. It's not. Shut the fuck up about it.
Damn it. To this reporting, the right word to describe this brand of gall escapes me. The nerve, the bottle, the damned cheek.
The chutzpah, Matt. It's called
the
chutzpah.
But both MSNBC and similarly founding competitor CNN, which lost 19 and 27% of their audiences respectively last year.
Oh, they lost their audience after an election? Huh. Who would have thought?
Have been open for years now in their desire to serve as final revolving door destinations for the shadiest
ad hominem,
conceivable military and security spooks.
Work at MSNBC
are also involved in this game of, and it's a long article.
Cop and
every kind of cop in the book.
See?
So this article, then it's a long article, but then it talks about me. It says there are also other players who aren't as big as Gabbard, Greenwald, or Taibbi are also involved in this game of pushing the left to consider right-wing populism across a number of different issues.
Like
what? I don't like what. Exactly. Like what?
We've shown what? Like your reverence for Italy's new prime minister, who is a direct lineage, has a direct ideological lineage to fucking Mussolini.
Why, if it weren't afraid of being canceled from Microsoft NBC, I'd say they've gone off the reservation. YouTuber Jimmy Dore deemed the self-described leftist lawmakers in the squad frauds. For what? For declining to try to block Nancy Pelosi's speakership
Which they
to
couldn't
force
do.
the vote on Medicare for all.
Which would be idiotic because nothing would happen with it.
No, I call them frauds for going against what they campaigned on.
The thing they said.
That's a little bit of a difference.
Okay, I'm bored with this. And Jimmy Dore, no, they haven't gone against what they campaigned on. They just have a different long-term strategy. Like if I say we're gonna nuclear power, I like nuclear power. I think it's great. I think nuclear power is number one way we can not solve, but mitigate and bring us further into the future. It can mitigate our current emissions that helps accelerate climate change. So I make that my number one issue. But then I come to Congress or the Senate, and there are just a bunch of coal guzzlers. They love coal. They suck the dick of coal every day. And then you say, why haven't you introduced a legislature to help fund more nuclear power plants? And I say, because nothing would happen with it. He's fraud. No, I'm building something. I'm making my case to the people. I made my case to my constituents. I have to make my case to the rest of the people. But that's going to come later. That's going to be a long-term project. I might not even succeed on that. That doesn't make me a fucking fraud, you moron. It just means I'm a better strategist than you. AOC, for all her faults, she's a good mouthpiece. For all her other faults, she's a good mouthpiece. Every now and then she pops up on social media and she pops off. That's not bad. That's a good thing. We need more people like that in today's day and age. Jimmy creamed his pants over Italian Nazi girl. Yeah, he did. I made a video on it. Why don't we... Because I remember there was a specific passage in that video that I remember. Oh, it's an hour 35. Where he said, oh, that sounds good. And they called her a fascist. How dare they? But I don't remember. Oh my God. My beard. Oh no. Oh no, my girlfriend was right. Oh no. Yeah, my girlfriend was right. I can't tell her that ever, though. Oh, God. Look at that beard. That Nazi party was CIA funded or the Nazi party? Oh, right. Oh, right. I completely... Thank you. I do miss the bigness of the old beard, but I can't complain about how it looks. Okay, I didn't know that actually. But this is interesting also. I completely lost his memory. He had Peter Sweden, a fascist, as a source. And because she fought against COVID passports, which, are you stupid? countries have a right to put up demands for if you are to enter. Are you fucking stupid? Oh, hey, do you have Ebola? Yeah, fuck off. Don't come here. But I want to see, because she gave a speech. Is it this? Come on. There's a speech where she says some good things, but that's like so fucking what? Or did it? Okay, the speech that already happened. Here we go. Okay, let me unmute. Slave at love.
I must be citizen X, gender X, parent 1, parent 2. I must be a number. Because when I am only a number, when I no longer have an identity or roots, then I will be the perfect slave at the mercy of financial speculators.
The perfect slave at the mercy of financial speculators. Because left-wing people love financial speculators. We love them. We love being mindless consumers. Absolutely.
The perfect consumer. Now,
let's see here what Jimmy Boy is gonna say.
This is wild that she's saying these things.
It is wild.
Well,
because it's fascism.
I'll finish and then we'll come back. The perfect consumer. That's the reason why. And then she finds a poem. That's why we inspire so much fear. That's why this event inspires so much fear. Because we do not want to be numbers. We will defend the value of the human being. Every single human being, because each of us has a unique genetic code that is unrepeatable. And like it or not, that is sacred. We will defend it. We will defend God.
She's never heard of twins, have she?
Country and family. Those things that disgust people so much, we will do it to defend our freedom. Because we will never be slaves and simple consumers at the mercy of financial speculators. That is our mission. That is why I came here today. So it sounds like she wants to stand... It can't be. But from that, it sounds like she wants to stand up to the capitalists.
I don't need to see my correct take on this one more time, but I will reiterate it. Nazis also oppose capitalism. Now they work hand in hand with capitalists who wants to get into power. But they don't like capitalists because capitalists don't like them. Because fascists are authoritarians. Fascists want to control every aspect of society. Now, once fascists are in power, the capitalists within the country usually kowtow to them. Because it's better to have something than nothing. Which, if they don't go along with what the fascists say about Jews or immigrants or socialists, if the fascists don't, or the capitalists don't go along with that, they get a bullet in the back of the head like everybody else. So they go along with it. Because then they at least will have something. They might have started out as doing women's garments, but now they're doing fascist uniforms. Sure. But at least they do something. And Jimmy Dore just swallows it without question. Oh, that's not bad. She's anti-capitalist. unlike Nazis. I didn't know the Italian fascist party was a CIA funding. That's interesting, actually. Very interesting. It something. There's a brain, a neuron in the brain that goes boop when I hear that, but it's not connected to anything. Like I can sense the neuron being activated, but nothing pops up. You know, there's some familiarity with it. Thank you about my beard. Thank you. The beard is not better than TJ Kirk's amazing. His beard has always been amazing. There is amazing atheist beardless. It is disturbing. First of all, we have to look at different stages of the beard man himself, the OG. That's not good. Really, that's the best image? Okay. But I remember I've been horrified by this man. I've seen him at his best, and I've seen him at his worst. And I can tell you, I would not love him. Oh, really? Okay. This is early TJ Kirk. I used to watch him. Like, I've been on YouTube since, what was it, 2006? And TJ Kirk, he was early. I remember him. I remember him predicting the shooter in Finland. But this is how I remember him in his garage, ranting to the camera about whatever he felt like that day, like a fucking lunatic autist. And I also remember this. Oh, it's not a good look for him. It's just not a good look. He needs that beard. He so needs... And then there's this. Oh! This is from the same... Like, he looks like a transgendered person, you know? Like, someone who's badly transitioning. Who would be clocked in an instant. And I believe he said that he has been mistaken for transgender a few times. But then, and I have to say, I like how he looks today, the best of all his days. Of all the TJ Kirk looks, of all the looks of Amazing Atheist, this is the best he's looked. In my opinion. I like this look. He looks like a fucking madman. He looks like he has a compound in rural South Alabama, you know? And he's like just missing all the guns and the flag. He does kind of look like a Viking. You're not wrong. He looks like a fatter Ragnar. But yeah, I like this look. I absolutely like this look. I like TJ Kirk. He's a good soul. So, we've talked about, Jimmy Dore. I thought, he's one CIA op. Why don't we talk about an FBI op as well. You know, balancing the scales a bit. How an FBI and I'm doing this from the Wayback Machine because the Daily Beast are morons. They are cucks. They paywall this shit after a day because they are left wing and there's no money in news. There's no billionaire money in left wing news media. Because again, left-wing media creates conflict, creates friction. Right-wing media, go right ahead. Just go right ahead. That's all they do. They just... Nothing matters. As long as you don't attack the central infrastructure, which left-wing media does, you're fine. Be as racist as you want. Be as big of a moron as you want. As long as you're right wing. How an FBI informant derailed Denver's BLM movement. Who would have thought? A new podcast reveals how an undercover informant in a silver Hersey sowed chaos inside Colorado's 2020 racial justice scene. An outlandish guerrilla militant who drove Silver Hersey to Denver. Silver Hersey. Really? Really? I'm like, I know what a Hersey is. Like, it's the car that drives the casket around. Wait, is someone... No, that's a funeral. Okay, I thought someone had turned a Hersey into a camping car. Which, why not? To Denver area Black Lives Matter protests in 2020 was secretly a federal informant with a sex crime conviction. A new podcast reveals. The informant, Mikey Windecker, pushed an activist to buy a gun for him, resulting in the activist's guilty plea on weapons charges. Other Denver area activists accused Windecker of inflaming otherwise peaceful demonstrations, encouraging people to break windows and leading marches directly into police traps. Windecker's informant status was first reported this week on the podcast Alphabet Boys, which explored Windecker's case and FBI involvement in the Colorado protests. The Alphabet Boys podcast shared some of its documents, including recordings and an FBI summary report with the Daily Beast, which corroborated those documents through court records and with other Colorado activists who'd encountered Windecker. The FBI's national and Denver offices declined to comment. Windecker did not return the Daily Beast request for comment. He spoke on the phone to the Alphabet Boys podcast after its host, Trevor Aronson, left notes at his old apartment. If you post something, a story about me saying supposedly I work for the FBI, I will sue the shit out of you, Windecker told Aronson in a voicemail. I will take you to court and I will break you off in court for defamation of character and slander. I have already notified my attorney about this. My previous landlord notified me and sent me these papers that you put on the old door that I used to live at, stating that I work for the FBI. I do not work for the FBI. I've never worked for the FBI. You get proof of me working for the FBI, then I'll say otherwise. But there's no proof because I didn't work for them. That's always kind of a telling. He's very specifically honing in on the worked for them instead of being an informant to them. That's always very telling when you hone in on the specific wording, you know. Presented with documents and recordings that showed his work for the FBI, Windecker stopped responding to Aronson. Like Aronson was like, you were an informant. What else am I supposed to call you? You didn't have an employment number, but you informed for them. You worked for them, not that you were an employee. Windecker made more than $20,000 working for the FBI during the summer of 2020, Aronson reported. According to the he did. So I'm guessing the wording. I reacted to this too. I just thought it's. Let's see here. I do not work for the FBI, like presently. I've never worked for the FBI. You get proof of me working for the FBI, then I'll say otherwise. Prove it, or otherwise I'll lie. That's pretty much what he's saying. I'll keep lying until you prove to me that you know that I work for the FBI. I don't know if informants get money. Maybe they do, like a finder's fee or something like that. According to payment receipts, it is unclear whether those receipts represent the entirety of FBI payments to Windecker. Windecker appeared on the Denver protest scene in the summer of 2020, when the nation was reeling from the on-camera murder of George Floyd by Minneapolis police. In Denver, Floyd's killing also ignited a simmering anger over the death of Elijah McClain, a young black man from nearby Aurora. McClain died in 2019 after police violently subdued him and injected him with nearly twice the amount of ketamine recommended for a person his size. Why would you inject someone with ketamine in the first place? The 23-year-old had been stopped by police after a 911 caller complained that he looked sketchy. That's always the go-to, right? Oh, he looks sketchy. Go after him. Colorado activist... I don't remember this story, actually. Colorado activists... there were so many stories around this time. There was thousands of stories around this time. It was impossible to keep up with everyone. He had a mask on because he's so excited. Oh, okay. He should have waited. He should have lived just one more year, shouldn't he? Just one more year, and he would have been perfectly fine with having the mask on. If only he hadn't committed murder by police. Colorado activist Asria Arroyo remembers encountering Windecker at one of the first protests she attended that summer. He stuck out like a sore thumb, Arroyo told the Daily Beast. He was in all camo with a hat, no mask, cuffling an unlit cigar. Chuffing an unlit cigar. Chuffing? Like biting on it? Used for emphasis or as a mild... Okay. A fucking. No. Chuffing an unlit cigar. You can't... Is chuffing cold? Isn't chuffing also biting? Just 1 minute of chuffing. Let's hear.
Say hello. You say hi?
Is that chuffing? The purring noise the tigers make? Okay. I have no idea. I'm guessing chomping or something she means. The camo she described were chiefing. Smoking an unlit cigar. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You heard cheering. I don't think you cheer a cigar either. she could just be misusing the word. I don't know. The camo she described were military fatigues with references to the Peshmerga, a Kurdish fighting force. Windecker had made headlines years before when he joined the Peshmerga to fight ISIS. Interesting. That's actually okay. I can get behind that. Even then, his reputation was dubious. In 2015, the Daily Beast was the first to report that Windecker's criminal record from Colorado was causing rifts among his fellow fighters in the Middle East. He'd been arrested 28 times and convicted on counts ranging from impersonation of a police officer. Bruh. You don't impersonate a police officer. That's gonna land you in jail. To third-degree sexual assault. Holy shit. Windecker had been 20 years old in the latter case. His victim was 14. Windecker stood out from the Denver activist crowd in other ways. He drove a silver Hersey full of weapons. He was white and in his mid-40s, while many of the protesters were young activists of color. And by midsummer, he emerged as a voice of action in a local movement that had begun to stagnate. Sebodios Hall? Seriously? No. I'm going to say Sebodios. Sebodios Hall, a local man who joined the protest, told the Daily Beast he first spoke with Windecker in early July. Oh my God. Burps. People just talked to him. He was talking to everyone, getting people's phone numbers. He told the Daily Beast, all these people think this dude's all right. But Windecker wasn't just talking to protesters, FBI documents reveal. He was talking to local and federal law enforcement. Windecker began having a working relationship with the APD, Aurora Police Department, and DPD, Denver Police Department, in around June 2020, according to the FBI report in May 2021. The report does not name Windecker, instead describing him as a CHS, or confidential human source. But the document gives a detailed description of Windecker's time with the Peshmerga, which align with the Windecker's resume. The FBI report goes on to detail Windecker's interactions with Hall, which later appeared in court records that used Windecker's real name. Hall also confirmed that Windecker was the person described in the report. The FBI documents reveal that Windecker began focusing on Hall before officially working for the FBI at the end of July 2020. Some of Windecker's reasons for suspicion, which are cited in the report, are dubious. Windecker told the FBI that he suspected Hall was only pretending to be a photographer. Hall never showed pictures of the protests to the CHS. The report reads, CHS believes the camera Hall had on him was another protester's camera and it didn't even work. Interesting. A quick Google search would have proven him wrong. Hall has multiple bylines at the Denver-based publication Westward, where he published reports and photo galleries from the summer's racial protests. The second photo in one of the slideshows depicts Windecker's silver Hersey with the words Elijah McClain didn't deserve to be put here written on the window. Interesting. Windecker didn't just attend protests, multiple Denver area activists said he derailed them. Now I'm reading all this because I think it's important to be able to recognize an informant, how they work, how they look, how they act. If someone stands out like a sore thumb, maybe treat them like a sore thumb. You know, if it's a sensitive situation like this, it's okay. You have reasons. There's a history here. Like, I don't know, the Boogaloo Boys. They're a sore thumb. Treat them like one. There was a guy, I don't remember his name, but he's been written about extensively, who showed up in January 6th. And he was right next to Ashley Babbitt as she got shot. He was interviewed by CNN, and he claimed to be part of BLM and Antifa. But every fucking BLM organization across the country had denounced him. Everyone who he had been in contact with had denounced him. He would, much like Windecker here, he would instigate issues. He would push people to start fights. He would derail the protest. His brother is a far-right activist. He's a fucking informant. He's absolutely part of the right wing. Much like Windecker here. If you have a sore thumb, treat him like a sore thumb. Arroyo said she saw Windecker at an August demonstration that very quickly, once more people gathered, turned into something like, actually, we should just go bust out some windows. Arroyo said she was suspicious of the demonstration's turn and moved to leave with some friends. Some of us became visibly uncomfortable. He started being like, come on, you guys, Black Lives Matter, don't they? Aren't we all going to do this? Soon thereafter, Windecker and two people he'd arrived with started blatant property damage on government buildings, she said. This is the informant doing it. And the issue is, all it takes is one person. If one person starts doing this, there is comfort in a crowd. You can blend in. It wasn't me, it was the crowd. It gives you how do you say? It gives you cover, moral justification to do it. Everyone else was doing it. Why shouldn't I do it? Unlike someone like the Katrina storm in Miami, where we saw people busting down windows to grab food and stuff like that. They were in and that's legitimate. And then they go to attack like the electronics store and grab a TV or something. That's them being given cover, moral cover, to steal television sets. Because people were stealing food, so why shouldn't I be stealing a television? Makes just as much sense, doesn't it? It doesn't, but it gives you cover. Just like this. But the first thing, it's more, I don't care about the TVs. If the moral cover is people stealing food, I'm okay with it. It's part of the deal. Who cares? This, however, is not part of the deal. Arroyo and a fellow activist of color backed away, freaked out because we're black people in Denver, she said. We were like, this is not at all why we're here. 4 other activists who spoke to the Daily Beast on the condition of anonymity independently offered similar accounts of Windecker escalating tensions at protests. During an August protest in Denver, Mickey was right there with people smashing windows, arson, and doing illegal activity. An activist who asked to go by Sophie told the Daily Beast, "It's my understanding from a couple of activists that Mickey helped call and organize this action and recruited people from the park meeting to bring shields and riot gear." On multiple occasions, Windecker led marches that ended up in police kettles, where he always seemed to avoid arrest. Multiple people said, that's so weird. The informant avoided arrest despite being the one instigating everything. Huh. How strange. It's almost a reoccurring pattern. On multiple occasions, Windecker led marches. Okay, sorry, I read that. One person who attended demonstrations recalled an incident during which Whitaker led a march that collided with police and members of the far-right group, the Proud Boys. Mickey was the one giving most of the directions on how to get out, the person said. But every time we turned, it was always turning towards the cop where the cops were hidden. Huh. That's strange. Why? Oh my God. Oh my God. How did it happen again? Oh my God. Arrests were widespread during the summer of 2020 as an excuse for why he had not been arrested. Whitaker claimed he had diplomatic immunity as a representative of Kurdistan. Kurdistan is not a recognized nation by the US at all. And even if they were, they don't have diplomatic immunity automatically. He's not representing a fictional nation, a hopeful nation, or a theoretical nation. What the fuck? According to the FBI reports, Whitaker did work for the Kurdish government. There's no Kurdish government. I don't. Upon his return to the U.S. in 2016, the U.S. does not recognize the Iraqi region as its own nation with diplomats who receive immunity, but the excuse version of which appears to be in recordings on the Alphabet Boys podcast was enough to give him some cover among activists, including Hall. By late July, Hall said he was growing frustrated with the protests. A black father who tied the movement back to his grandparents' experiences with racism. He viewed the 2020 protests as a chance for change. Instead, he'd been hit in the head by a police munition, leading to chronic headaches and fits of fatigue. Someone had made death threats against him in connection to his role in the protests, he said. He approached Whitaker, who had talked a big game about his time hunting ISIS in Kurdistan. I told him I want to learn how to defend myself, Hall told the Daily Beast. Court documents confirm Hall's version of events. Mr. Hall later requested that Mickey provide a military-style training to Mr. Hall and others, reads a plea agreement. Mickey agreed to provide training to Mr. Hall, but explained that Mickey, needed a firearm but could not purchase the firearm because Mickey, was a convicted felon. I thought he had diplomatic immunity. Mr. Hall agreed to purchase the firearm for Mickey, after being told that Mickey was a convicted felon and that Mr. Hall's straw purchase of the firearm for Mickey would be illegal. Don't. Hall says he was confused about the purchase legality due to Whitaker's prior claims about being a diplomat, and the fact that Whitaker already had many guns in the back of his Hersey. Those guns were part of another motivation for Hall: fear. The judge asked me before I was sentenced, "Did you do it because you were afraid?" I said, "Yeah, why charge me?" he recalled. In August 2020, Whitaker gave Hall $1,500 to buy a gun. The pair drove to a Bass Pro Shop, where Hall bought a pistol under his name and gave it to Whitaker. The following year, Hall was arrested and pleaded guilty to transferring a firearm to a felon. I don't think it was right, he said of his arrest. I think it was entrapment. No shit it was. No fucking shit it was entrapment. But no matter what, I did do it. Another area activist, Sarah Farley, told the Daily Beast that Whitaker had been quick to bring up guns the first time she met him. One of the first meetings, Mickey started talking to me about how he can get me firearms, no problem, and then train me on how to use them. Out in the mountains somewhere in Colorado, Farley said. I was like, oh, haha, no, I don't really want to go out to the mountains to shoot guns with a stranger. Good fucking call. Correct call. Windecker was involved in another case tied to the Denver Black Lives Matter movement. That case, while making headlines, did not result in criminal charges. In conversations with Windecker, another local activist named Bryce Shelby expressed enthusiasm for plans to commit political assassination, according to an FBI report. The report states that Windecker set up a launch with Shelby and Hall, which Windecker recorded. Set up a launch? Wait, the case with... I completely zoned... This is my ADHD. I completely zoned out. While reading out loud, I was thinking of something completely different. Sorry about that. Windecker was involved in another case tied to the Denver Black Lives Matter movement. That case, while making headlines, did not result in criminal charges. In conversations with Windecker, another local activist named Bryce Shelby expressed enthusiasm for plans to commit political assassinations, according to an FBI report. The report states that Windecker set up a launch with Shelby and Hall, which Windecker recorded. News reports from the time that states that Shelby drove by the house of a prospective target more than once and talked to an undercover agent about his willingness to pull the trigger. Interesting. Why wouldn't this go to court? If there was something here, they got Hall on something lesser. Why couldn't they get him on this? That's kind of suspicious. I don't trust the FBI's reporting at all, obviously. They're going to be attempting to protect their source at any cost. Shelby did not return the Daily Beast's request for comment, and his reported talk about assassinations never amounted to a criminal case. Instead, a judge used the comment to seize Shelby's guns under Colorado's red flag law, which allows police to temporarily remove firearms from someone who is believed to pose an immediate threat. Strange. I never heard anyone in the right-wing media talk about this case. Strange. The use of undercover informants in criminal plots is controversial. Undercover agents are often accused of directing the plot, cajoling participants into joining or taking more extreme actions. Such concerns have plagued the trial of a right-wing militia group accused of plotting to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. A judge rejected an entrapment argument in the case. But even without the court cases, Windecker had a chilling effect on Denver's racial justice movement, exploiting divisions in the Denver activist scene, according to multiple witnesses in an FBI report. The information CHS was receiving from the different groups at protests was like a flash flood, reads the FBI document. There were different groups with different agendas trying to take advantage of the protests. Hall, Arroyo, and two other activists said Windecker gained a faithful following among some members of a Young Democratic Socialists of America chapter. Oh, you fucking morons. You fucking morons. I'm at the therapist. I hope you're still on in an hour. If not, hope you have a fantastic stream and day. Good luck, social. I hope you have a good session. I will probably not be on in an hour. I'm starting to feel kind of fatigued. So I'm just going to be playing games in an hour probably. So you have a good session and I'll have a good end of the stream. And I'll see you next time, okay? Bye-bye. You fucking morons. Young Democratic Socialists of America chapter. Fucking morons. That chapter has since disbanded. No fucking shit. One former chapter leader, whom multiple people identify as a key Windecker ally, returned a text message from the Daily Beast, but stopped responding when asked about Windecker. Hall and other YDSA members did reconnaissance for Windecker, scouting out marching routes at protests. The YDSA activists, predominantly in their late teens and early 20s, came into conflict with other protesters, as the protests scene turned chaotic. Amid a rash of arrests, local suspected an informant in their midst and began accusing each other. If you start accusing people of being informants, look at the sore thumb. He's right there. Oh, he might be your best friend, but he is right there. The guy who, I don't know where it seems to direct protests to where police are hiding, seems to never get arrested. Maybe that guy's an informant. Yeah. If you were black and had some kind of role and spoke at some point, you're a snitch. It was just happening like that. Random white people would be accused of it. Wait, if you were black and had some kind of role and spoke at some point, you're a snitch. It was just happening like that. Random white people would be accused of it, Hall said. But when all the black people were labeled these things or crazy, I think that made people feel defeated. What was left, I think, were people who were just pushing other folks away. I can't help but feel like there's parallels here. You know, we have, on the one hand, we have these protests and Windecker infiltrating them. On the other hand, we have Jimmy Dore and the Gray Zone and Jackson Hinkle and those people. I can see the parallels. Oh, you're not gonna force the vote? Then you're not socialist enough. Then you're not left enough, and that's gonna be on you. You're not part of my movement, or our movement. They always say you're not part of our movement. So go fuck yourself. I mean, what's the difference between Jimmy Dore and Windecker here? Really? One of the activists who requested anonymity said the mistrust helped unravel an activist scene that was just starting to get its act together. Things were starting to get stronger, the person said. Relationships and bonds were starting to get stronger, and Mickey came in and just started poking holes through everything. By September 2020, Windecker had earned enough ill will that the group Colorado Springs Anti-Fascists published a Twitter thread highlighting Windecker's criminal history and cautioning people against protesting alongside him. The accusations contributed to Hall's increasing negative outlook on Windecker. YDSA members would be some of the last area activists to stand by Windecker, earning the group a condemnation from the Boulder County DSA. Good. Windecker, meanwhile, filmed a video accusing the Colorado Springs anti-fascists of being a front for a police officer or a Proud Boy. The group denies the charges. No shit. Oh, like I said about Jimmy Dore and the feminists using their label as a shield. Accusing the other, projecting, is a great shield. If you're trying to implicate that I'm a fucking snitch, well, check this out, Windecker said in the video. 3 things. I ain't a punk, I ain't a bitch, and I ain't a fucking snitch. What is he, trying to be a fucking rapper? 3 things I ain't a punk, I ain't a bitch, I ain't a fucking snitch. Windecker has vanished from the Colorado protest scene. Strange. Hall says he hasn't heard from him since Windecker texted him in 2021, a few days before the FBI arrested Hall for giving Windecker a gun. The guilty plea has already hurt Hall's career chances, he said. No shit. Previously an IT worker, he's been cast out of several companies' hiring processes when he discloses his recent felony, even getting passed over for a delivery gig with DoorDash because his felony was gun-related. But he and other activists said they weren't surprised to learn that Windecker was an informant. It was proof that he hadn't been paranoid. The felony is well worth it if this gets it all out. Now that's a sad ending, I think, to this story. Okay, is this the video?
Come on, drill sergeant! I can't hear you!
Oh, oh my God.
Or good morning.
6 subscribers. There's one video.
It's September the 3rd, 2020.
Look at this fucking LARPer.
3 o'clock in the morning. So I was notified by some people that I know that are in groups that I'm in that there was an individual that posted a link involving stating some things about me, which I'm going to clarify tonight.
Wait, I need more audio here.
These 3 things that I'm going to address to you are going to basically be truth, the bullshit, and the core of the subject. So there's a group that, or a individual that's claiming that they are Antifa Colorado Springs. And in fact, that I believe that they are actually not Antifa Colorado Springs because I believe they are actually a cop. This individual has posted stuff discrediting other individuals that are fighting against the fascist in Denver, Colorado, such as Cutting the Plastic and other communist groups and other individuals. I, for one, am not amused or pleased about the fuckery that's going on. I will clarify some things and I'm going to address some things real fucking quick. And this is not scripted. I am a Peshmerga soldier. I am a PKK soldier and I am a YPG fighter. The fact that you would post on your site talking about how proud...
So I wonder. I want to talk to someone who he fought alongside of. I think that could be interesting to hear how he was in Peshmerga, how he was with the PKK. I think I'm still allowed to do that. Sweden has, due to our NATO application and Turkey's refusal, if we don't go along with their demands, which are fucking ridiculous. We have restricted some because we have some restrictions due to our condemnation of the PKK and stuff like that. I don't know exactly the status, but I know there was writings on it. But I think I can still talk to other PKK members about Windecker and his time in the Kurdish armed forces.
Proud you are and how much you support my people and my comrades, but you bash my government and bash my people by saying that
why is this a square?
They didn't vet me or check me out. It's a complete disrespect to my people and to my heritage of Kurdistan.
My heritage.
So when you sit there and you run your fucking mouth online and you're talking and discrediting my people, my warriors, my fellow comrades. I am a communist, and I am fucking proud of it. I ain't fucking perfect by any means necessary, so don't get that fucked up. I am a former career criminal, I am a former outlaw biker, and I don't hide that from nobody. But I am also a Kurdish freedom fighter and a Kurdish soldier. I can prove that anytime, anywhere. And I'm going to address the situation of people running their fucking mouth on the internet calling me a pedophile. You can hide behind an anonymous website and an anonymous profile talking all that.
Now that's revelations. That's oof. Oh, are you considering the other allegations were true?
That shit about, I'll tell them to his face, no, you won't, because at the end of the day, you come to me, I got something for you. And it's not just that.
Oh, that's a fucking LARPer.
I am the type of individual, I don't give a fuck about going to prison. I don't give a fuck about.
Look. Yes, he's not a LARPer in the sense that he actually went there and he actually fought with them. Apparently, I would like some independent corroboration of that. But there is image. I trust that. I trust it that much. But if I did that, assume I did that, I wouldn't then have this. I wouldn't be doing this whole thing, you know? This is a bit too much to me. Like, seriously, this is cringe. This is LARPing. Even if you have the credentials, this is like if you were in the army and when you come out, you have, and this dude is, what is it, 40 something? If you're 20, fine, whatever, sure, go ahead. But if you're 40 and you still like have the whole thing on the board, on the back of your videos, that's kind of cringy, my dude. It's very cringy. It's okay to have those things. It's not okay to have them on display like that.
Getting killed, because believe me, I fought ISIS or Daesh. I fought Al Qaeda. I fought Abu Shabi. I fought in Iraq and I fought in Syria. I've trained real Antifa freedom fighters in both those regions. And I am certainly not fucking scared of you. At the end of the day, I put it to you like this. I've been to war, I've been to prison riots, and I've been on war in extreme violent situations on the street. I don't come from a very good background, but the Kurds gave me a second chance in life, and I respect that, and I'm honored to have that. So in the video, I will be posting pictures of the court document showing that, one, I am not a pedophile. I was 19 years old and dated a girl who said she was 18 years old, actually lied about her age. If I was a pedophile attacking your kids, I would not have custody of all 6 of my children.
Sure you could. You could. Of course you could. Don't appear to provide evidence of pedophilia. Okay. You could lie.
If I was, and a new word I learned because I'm not the smartest person on the planet, but I love to learn. When you call me, the term of basically calling me an individual that does not respect women, and that I treat women as trash or that I hate them, I think my 8 sisters, my 3 daughters, and my 3 mothers would be very, very concerned about that situation. Actually, my mother, one of my moms is actually a lesbian, and I love them both. Look, at the end of the day, I don't care.
Hey, like, this guy, he's got all the credentials, doesn't he? He's got all the credentials.
Black, white, yellow, brown, red, yellow, whatever color you are, blue and purple fucking polka dots. I don't care if you're a man, a woman, transgender, if you're a fucking unicorn. I don't care. But you have the right to live free and be happy like everybody else, and that's what I stand for. That's why I went and fought Daesh in the Islamic State. I don't give a fuck about the cops, and I don't care about the police. But I will tell this to you right now. At the end of the day.
And yet you took a plea deal that made you an informant, you fucking moron.
I do not agree nor accept fascism. I do not.
And yet you collaborated with them. Strange. Strange.
Not accept and agree oppression. That's what I fought against, and that's what I'm still fighting against. I don't care what your background is or what you are. We ain't perfect. We're all human beings. But understand this. If you come to me fucked up, I'm going to fuck you up. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
So, that's enough of him. I think he's genuine. it sounded genuine what he said. I think he actually believes himself to be a communist. I believe he actually thinks he stands for all those things. I believe he thinks he fights for the good things in life, for the downtrodden, for the worker. The problem is, so he admitted there that he had a biker gang past. And I can, okay, if you had that and you get out, I had former colleagues who were former biker gang members. Usually they work in restaurants and in bars and nightclubs. It's fairly common for people to have a shady background here in Sweden. That's one of the kinds of works that they gravitate towards. Let's put it that way. And I'm fine with that. I had no issue with that. The dude tried to make a better life for himself. Provide for his family. Sure, go ahead. He was friendly. He was kind. The problem becomes when going to fight ISIS, going to fight alongside the Kurdish freedom fighters, that can create a justification for your actions that you didn't have as a member of a biker gang. And that justification, when you bring it home, anything you do is justified because you're the real thing. The problem is you don't fight a fucking theocratic organization that's trying to build a nation the same way you fight the police in a justice system. A dysfunctional justice system, but a justice system. Those two are not compatible. And because of this justification he had in his head, he believed that he was doing the right thing. I think. Like, sure, he was informing on people, but they were weak people. They weren't going to be able to actually make it, you know. That's the kind of person he informs on. That's my armchair analysis of the dude. Because he did sound genuine in his words in the video. But yeah, he's an informant. He's a fascist collaborator. And I don't care if he is Gandhi himself. If you collaborate with the fascist organization, you are out of the organization. I'll take your vote come election time. I'll happily take your gun come a civil war. But you are not allowed in the protest. You're not allowed as a leader. You can be there, but you have to be quiet. You have to listen. Otherwise, you are out. And I wonder if it's possible to set up a framework that all social justice movements can follow, which makes it easier to control infiltrators. Like, for example, the moment someone starts, the moment they start plotting violence, out. But then I don't know how to enforce it in an early movement. I think BLM moving forward needs to have this type of idea, have this type of we don't allow people to just co-opt the movement. What we do, we have to have a framework that can protect us against these types of actions. Because in the early days, it's hard to know who to listen to, and people will gravitate towards more radical because it seems to be more in line with the goals, but they're not thinking of the consequences. I don't know. It's hard. It is hard, but it's necessary. It's a necessity, in my opinion. Anyway, that's the stream for today. I made it. It's been a long stream. It's been 2.5 hours. It's not as long as I thought it was. Strange. Anyway, I am fatigued and I am gonna go have some food, I think. So I'll see you guys in the next stream, which is probably gonna be Monday. I'll stream on Monday, okay? Take care. I'll see you then.